Hey there, this is Matt checking in from my car. Today I'm on my way to Montreal, going there for a work day today, but I wanted to share something today about the use of justification and how we tend to use that in our lives to justify the good and the bad. And a lot of times, we use that to justify the bad, the what we're dealing as far as pain, and as far as the fact that when we're trading all our time in a job, working the 8 to 5 or 9 to 5 grind, the friggin' going through the rat race, and doing something that we're not passionate about, doing something that we're not even excited to wake up for in the morning, and we're just dreading the day when we wake up. And a lot of times what we end up doing is we end up justifying those jobs, those careers. We end up justifying what we do just to help us feel feel good about it, right? Just to make us feel better about it and to accept it in a way, kind of thing. And that's really where it stops us from continuing on to dream and continuing on to go after what we really want, what we truly deserve. Because we tend to do that. We tend to end up just stopping, justifying it, and then sticking with that and not actually going after what we want. And what I mean by that is that for me, before I woke up and I decided that I was gonna go after my life and take control over my life, I was doing that. I was justifying my career. I was justifying in a way to say, I got a job. A lot of people doesn't have a job. I'm making a good amount of income. I got a really interesting compensation package with a company car, a bonus package, which an overall, six-figure compensation package. And I would justify it that way. Then I would justify it it's sort of in the industry that I know and I like, or it's really what I've been doing for the last 5 years. So I was just like, that's pretty much all I know. So I would justify it that way, even though deep down I wanted to change. I wanted a different. I was expecting different. I was expecting a life where I'd be excited about, be happy about. And it turns out that every time I thought I would find that by getting promoted and finding and climbing up the corporate ladder, I thought I would eventually see that, but every single time I would just feel less and less excited about it and less fulfilled about what I was doing. And that's really why I changed, and that's why I started on this path of figuring out who I am, what do I want, what is it that I see my life at, like where do I see myself in the future, and started to make some changes on that. But I was justifying it. I was just justifying it, and then I was sticking to it, and then after the fact I would just numb the pain and just trying to survive through it, because I was seeing other people going through the same thing, through the same struggle, through the same pain, and I just thought that, hey, this is normal and that's reality, and I just accepted the way it is. But the fact of the matter is that it doesn't have to be that way. I mean, how do you think that entrepreneurs, successful people think? They don't think that way. They change the way they think. They change the way they their mindset. They change the way they perceive things, and really focus on what really matters, and really focus on their values, and really focus on the thing that really resonates with them, that are passionate about it, and that they just go after it instead of justifying it to stick with the comfort zone and stick with that little cocoon that we tend to stay stuck in, just because outside of this cocoon is, a lot of times we think that it's unknown and it's risky, and it's but it's outside of this cocoon, this comfort zone. That's really where you're going to find who you are and who you truly are, and what is it that you're passionate about, what is it that resonates with you, what is it that matters to you. And this is really where you're going to find the energy and the power and the self-confidence to go after what is it that you always wanted. So that's what I mean, is that we use the justification to justify our careers and our jobs and the life that we're living, and we tend to accept that. Just another example, I was talking to a friend of mine over the weekend, and I was trying to see, like, okay, what is it that triggers him, what is it that excites him, and what is it that he would enjoy, like what is it that he's passionate about, because that's really what I truly believe in, is just focusing on really what we're passionate about and doing more of that, and just trying to get an understanding, like what is it that it would excite him, and what is it that he would want to do. And then we started to talk about business ideas. We started to talk about like a restaurant, and kind of have like a different way of a restaurant, and it was pretty interesting, and I could see that he really loved it, and he was really pushing some ideas, and he was pushing his passion into the whole thing, and then I started saying, look, okay, well, how about you look at ways to get there, right? And it's just, oh, well, we'll need some money to do that, okay? And then he started saying, well, I can't afford that. And it was just like, well, if you say that you can't afford it, that's pretty much where it's going to stop, and that's not going to go anywhere from there. So really, the question, he's got to turn it around and saying, well, how can I afford it, really? Like, I mean, that's how the rich thinks. That's how people who are successful entrepreneurs think, is like, how can I get this? How can I get the money? How can I build this? How can I start this? Instead of saying, I can't afford it, I can't do it, I don't know how to do it, and you just essentially stop there, because you just stop brainstorming, you start thinking about resources on how to get there. But yeah, I mean, but then that's when he started to justify his job, right? He started to saying, well, I'm making $50,000 a year, and I'm happy. I mean, I get 5 weeks of vacation a year, and he says, I'd rather stick with that than making $150,000 a year, and then, I can have the vacation, but I knew that deep down, it's not all that he wants, and it's not what he wants truly. I mean, I could see that he has something in there. It's just that he's sticking with that comfort zone, right? So he's staying within that parameter and doesn't want to step out of it, just because of the fear of stepping out of the norm, right? So he was justifying the job that he had. So that's what I mean, is that the justification, you can use it for the good and the bad. And when I say for the good, I mean, we can justify, and where I would focus on is using justification to your own advantage, because justification, it can be used against you, but it can also be used for you. And what I mean by that is that rather than justifying the fact that you are making a certain amount of income, and comparing yourself to others, thinking that, I got it better than this person because I make more money, or I have more vacation, or I get this certain advantage, or whatever. Rather than justifying to stick with what you have, even though that deep down that you have this pain and you want to find a solution for, justify it the other way around, and think about how you would justify the life that you truly deserve. And you start justifying it that way, and that's when your creativity is gonna come in. You start justifying that, no, I deserve this life. I deserve to have the freedom. I deserve to have this flexibility. I deserve to have a successful business. I deserve to have financial freedom. And you start justifying the fact that, this is what you were meant to do. This is who you were meant to be. You start justifying yourself to say that, it doesn't have to be this way, and I can do it this way, and I can live my life on my own terms, and I can create the life that I want. And you can start justifying it in the positive way, and you do it for the good and for the better good of yourself and those involved and your family. Really, that's really where you're gonna start striving for what is it that you want. So that's my thought for today. I wanted to share that because I truly believe in the use of justification and the art of justification. I mean, I even recorded a podcast on this a couple of months back, and I love that, because we can justify it ourselves to be against us, but we can also use justification to work for us. So today my challenge to you is start justifying the life that you truly want. That's justifying the life that you truly deserve. And that, my friend, will help you inspire yourself to go forward. Thanks for checking this out, and I'll catch you next time. Cheers.